If you've already gone through the painstaking task of beautifully laying out your infographic, and all you really want to do is just animate the appearance and disappearance of those beautiful graphics, you should check out Motion Monkey from aescripts.com. Just so you can see where it came from, Motion Monkey came from aescripts.com. And yes, there is a try option, so you can definitely give it a shot. All right, let me show you what this does. Now, if there's any way I can shave a couple seconds off my workday, I like to do that because a couple seconds starts to turn into a couple minutes, which then saves me maybe an hour during the day. It all adds up. So I like to use Motion Monkey when I need to animate individual elements, but I don't necessarily want to sit there and have to keyframe each individual layer. So if we look at our map here, I've got these points on the map and they're set. So I don't want to change these points, but I do want them to just kind of pop into the scene. This is just a generic infographic number 5, if you will. So what I want to do is actually choose which layers I'd like Motion Monkey to affect. And more importantly, which layers I would like it to not treat. So let's select our map layer, and I don't want to move this layer at all. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this layer off. Then I'll just click on Info 4 and hold down Shift and click through Info 1. So all these layers are the ones that Motion Monkey is going to play with. Okay, so I'm going to go up under Window and I'll scroll down and I'll look for Motion Monkey. When the Motion Monkey panel pops up, I have a bunch of different options I can use to control how these elements appear. Now, if I want it to have random motion, I just leave the radio button selected up here. But if I want to control the specific motion, I go ahead and actually just click any of these other parameters. So I want these to scale up from nothing. So I want the motion to be scale. And the second I enable that, I don't have an option for slide direction, but I do have an option for scale, and I want it to scale up. And then for the anchor point, the default is the center, where it is right now. But I'd like these to pop up around the bottom, so here I'll just choose bottom and deselect center. Now I could add a fade, which I'll go ahead and do, that's fine, but I want these to bounce. So here I'm going to choose bounce, and I want them to kind of spring a little bit. And I want the speed to be fast, and I want the intensity to be high. And notice over here on my markers, I want the time span to be over the work area evenly spaced. But my work area is my entire comp. So I'm going to move my current time indicator to about, 2 seconds, and then I'll press N on my keyboard to set the end point or out point of my work area. Okay, now I could choose the order in which they appear. I could say top, bottom, or random. I'll just choose random, okay? And then for the out point, I want it to go ahead and freeze. So let's go ahead and see what we've got. All we have to do is click Do It, and it'll go ahead and create animation. I'll just minimize the script for a second and move my work area out a little bit, because even though the animation's taking place in this area, it may not be finished animating for a few seconds after. So let's move back to the beginning here and press the space bar, and each icon is now popping into the scene. If I want to choose the specific timing of each element, I can go ahead and press the space bar to stop playback. And each one of these markers will control the appearance of the labeled name. So Info 4, this one is popping up right here. This is the one that's in Texas. So I can go ahead and press the space bar, and now I have 2 that pop in, and then the other 2 kind of take their time. So a lot of times people use scripts to create random movement, but just because that's the norm doesn't mean you can't use scripts to create very precise movement. In this case, this nice pop in for each one of these different layers. I just needed them to animate in. Nothing too crazy, but this automatically created the keyframes I needed and added this extra bounce and spring. And of course, I still had extra control to come back and change the markers as to where these elements will appear inside my animation.